Francis Lewis present.
Michelle Bion present.
Rob Young, present.
Linda Dorfman present.
Joanna Buffington here.
Okay, and we have two members that are going to be absent today, Kate and Karen. Right? Hello, Alex. All right, the first order of business is approving minutes. We have the minutes from April here. Rob submitted. Any additions, comments? All right, then,
Motion to approve the
Yes.
minutes from April.
Second,
all right, well then, Francis, yes.
Michelle, yes.
Rob, yes.
Linda, yes.
Joanna, yes.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 is 0 for that. But you're taking the minutes, right, Linda?
Right.
Thank you. All right, good.
Write that down.
All right. That's done. 5-0. They like that. Yeah, and they like the missing members and staff members. Okay. And Rob, you're going to send that in to Rachel Smith. Thank you. OSRP. Michelle and I met with Shayna a few weeks in September sometime, early in the month. We're going to go with a more aggressive meeting schedule, starting in October, every 2 weeks. Alex, Christine, Michelle, and myself are going to an October 1st meeting with Shayna to discuss one of the purpose of the meeting is to discuss how we can use more efficient ways to get the data needed for the document. Michelle introduced a program that she was using on the strategic planning. It's called Microsoft Share. Well, that may help us share data more effectively.
Well, it was like the document itself was being printed off and handed around and nobody knew whose version was what. So we're just sharing a single document and then each one of us that edit has our own,
Right.
the edit feature is on. It's as simple as that. So, and Shayna didn't think that we were able, the town staff were able to share it externally, but we do it on strategic planning. So she was able to do it with us.
So good.
So that's
Okay.
good.
So it's somewhere like track changes.
It's like track changes, but we can add comments and stuff, and each one of us has a
Mm-hmm.
different color
Okay.
and that kind of thing. So, and when you're live in the document, if I'm editing, and let's say Frances is on at the same time I am, she can see what I'm doing live.
Mm.
So it's not save, share, send. It's just all, which is good. So we had a little tutorial with
We
the
had
two of us.
Tutorial.
Like we each had a computer and she's like, you go in it first and I'm in it. And she goes, I can see you're in it. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
right.
"Okay."
I mean, you have to have a little practice.
Yeah, it's true. It was good.
So hopefully that will jumpstart the process. Because there's an enormous amount of information. And
And none of us are SMEs. So none of us are
Yeah.
subject matter experts on this. So
no, right.
we're just trying to figure out what's the best, highest use of everybody's time in order to get a good product at the end and
Mhm.
put some sort of a timeline around it. So,
You said that next meeting was October 1st.
Yes,
Okay, good. I got that.
good. So you'll hear an update next month. Anything else on that? I think that's it for now, as much as we know. Okay, the land management plan for Wiley Nickerson. Shayna has contacted Thomas Farrell from Mashpee. He's the forester. And wants me to go ahead with the stewardship plan and the climate forestry plan. And then there was an extra $300 for a public walk on the site with education that both Alex and I suggested she include. I've been talking with him and he's committed. And it's going to begin tomorrow morning at, I think it's 9 o'clock. There's an introductory meeting on the phone. Alex, Christine, you and me, and Steve Gullrich from the Forestry Committee, 1651 will be there to meet him, talk about how we're going to go forward. So that was good.
Good.
That's very good. And they'll get more information after we go through tomorrow's meeting. Okay. All right, the next thing is the conservation restrictions, and I'll let Alex tell us the current state of the one at the Well Site District off of Nassau Road.
Right, so the state authorized the town of Eastham to convey the CR to the Eastham Conservation Foundation. So now it's back in the town's court. I think Mark Robinson has typically been the person who puts these documents together for us. He's currently out of contract with this CR, so perhaps that's something we could work with Mark to get him back into contract to finish this up for us. So that's what I have for that.
How is the contract paid?
We, the Open Space Committee, with the other CRs, getting them going, got approval for spending town money. From what pot? But Mark Robinson was hired on contract to do that before you. Shayna should probably know how that is. But it would come out of, and if Karen were on the call, she'd probably say out of the Conservation Commission's
Fund.
fund.
So I think that's what we used to finish up the previous CR. There were some
Yeah,
fees associated with getting it registered at the.
Right.
Right.
Getting recorded at the registry and whatnot, and so I think we just. need to
Right.
go through that. Perhaps that's something we could do with this. I'll have to talk to Shayna.
What does he do exactly? Does he shepherd it through?
well, I actually just saw Mark yesterday for another reason on my property, which, yeah, ill. And he shared with Henry Lynn, the president of the Eastham Conservation
Right.
Foundation, that there were, the H District one was sort of back with, nobody concentrating on it. I mean, expecting Alex to do it with all his other jobs, I don't think is a good idea unless you do.
Yeah.
No. So getting Mark back on board, I think is important. But the other thing Mark shared was there's been a change of staffing at the state level. Whoever's overseeing CRs and stuff is somebody who is a stickler for
Stickler.
certain things. And Mark
Same
is,
person that saw the other CR.
I don't think so. And Mark just wished this had gotten through already because there may be, who knows, I'm speculating, but there may be, it's still got to go back to the state. I don't know. I
So
don't know.
what's the process to get him back in contract?
Yeah, I guess we need to.
Yeah,
do
who
that,
does,
'cause-
who makes that? Do we send it to the Jackie Finance Committee? Do we have to put a proposal together?
Yeah, well, why don't I reach out to Shayna first,
Find out how he got paid. before.
So,
kind of get the back.
It's
Like,
really
is there
kinda-
paperwork?
yeah.
Can we just put a new date on the
Okay.
new document?
so why don't we though do an official vote to agree that we would like to see that happen? Then you
That's a
don't.
great
have to come back
idea.
For a meeting
So
with
moved.
us. So.
Second.
Second, all in favor of trying to secure Mark Robinson again to shepherd the Well District CR
Aye.
to its
Aye, Michelle,
Its
aye.
conclusion.
conclusion.
Okay, that was very good wording. We have 5-0. Francis, yes. Everybody.
Michelle, yes.
Yes,
Linda,
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
5-0 motion. We agree that we'd like to
Re-engage.
re-engage
Mark
Robinson
Robinson.
under
to
contract to see
for a
the,
contract
Shepherd the conservation
shepherd.
restriction to approval,
to
Yeah.
to
approval with the
conclusion
state.
with the state.
oh, final, to its
Final,
final.
whatever,
that-
you know. the
Okay, so
legal
that's
language.
in the books if we have to do anything else. So
Yeah.
you're gonna start with Shayna
So why don't we, how about tomorrow during our meeting?
Yes.
We'll have Shayna's ear.
right then.
And can you pull the other or does she have the other contract, like Rob said? The one that he had before?
Well, she'll know
Oh,
how he was
way
paid,
back.
so we'll know, yeah.
Right.
She'll know how he was paid,
Right.
probably.
Right,
That's what we need to find out.
Right.
Whose money we were gonna use. Hopefully,
So,
we don't have any. so.
okay, well, the other ones took 12 years, so
Right.
maybe we can take a couple.
this one's gonna
Oh,
go
man.
through in
I'm not
two.
going anyplace.
So so what doesn't, like, what is on hold, like, since we don't have this, like, what's the risk?
Oh,
Are we-
nothing, nobody's looking, I mean, the well district, the number of acres. Oh, I did hear one of the issues. Well, this is getting off it, that whole area was once sort of divided on paper into a bunch of different parcels.
Right?
So, but those don't,
Matter anymore.
right, there's an issue that's not like that anymore, and so it's gonna have an extra layer of just, when lawyers start looking at it.
Unraveling
Yeah.
what used to be.
Away with it,
Okay.
any deeded rights that might
Yeah.
have been there.
But nothing's happening to that land over there. I mean, it's all
Right.
around our well district, it's wooded, but you know, it's nice to get the protection in, get the
Right.
baseline
I
for a
agree.
conservation restriction, the baseline survey, and then annually get it looked at to make sure
Sure.
nobody's dumping on it, and the towns, not
Right.
just, you know, abutters, but including the town, just so it's kept in its.
Pristine.
I totally agree. I just wasn't sure.
So at
going
one
to the
point it was
risk.
subdivided and now it no longer is.
It's not even, I stop it. Mark showed this picture of what had all these pieces. It's a bunch of pieces all put together, and then they carved out a chunk in trade for doing, you know, the putting in the well and stuff. It was kind of a trade. We'll protect this part because we're using this for that.
Right.
What year that was? I know, I'm asking.
What year, what was?
The parcels were split.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. That's. Yeah.
It just needs, like Rob said, to be cleaned up so we can get.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
Well, Mark knows the
Yeah.
whole history because he was in on the meeting when with Jackie, when this deal was made that in, you know, for having 27 or whatever acres.
Mark is keeping up.
Got it.
Yeah, so he has, I'm sure he has a folder, he has the background stuff, he
Perfect.
knows more than I
That's
know,
good back.
Excellent,
so.
all right. Okay, the next thing was Wiley Park, and I had jotted down signage on the agenda. Has there been any movement on the natural resources putting up signage?
At Wiley. Park.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think the best route forward with that is I've got a sign company that Natural Resources recommended to us or to me to pursue those decals that the
Yeah.
Open Space Committee recommended. Since this is the commission's regulations that are being displayed, I think it's appropriate to take funds out of the commission's fund. Buy those decals. I'll confirm that with Karen. I think that will kind of speed this up a little bit, because I think right now the hang up is who's paying for what. I think we could just pay for it ourselves. We could,
And my recollection, it was you three that created the document to Alex.
yeah,
With the suggestions
It was
of
the
using
PDF.
decals.
Yeah.
To,
Yeah.
expand the, education
yeah.
Right,
for the public.
Decals.
rather than buying new, well, like, they're more permanent than a
Yeah.
decal. 'cause
They're
decals come
like
up.
an
Additions
icon.
to the current sign.
Instead of the wording on the restrictions, it's icons. Say no.
And there are some restrictions that are enforced that aren't on the big sign when you first go in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just so people, they, they're not like unloading their kayak and don't realize it till they get down to the beach that, oh gee, I can't put this here. Cause really the only sign that says that you can't launch is already down at the beach, so it's kind of like, better that they know. That's why that sign was moved up.
Okay.
It was so far before the booth where people paid.
Mhm.
It's like, I'm here from out of town or whatever, and I bought my permit. I'm coming here to have a good time, whatever. I didn't go online necessarily and saw what I can and can't do at Wiley Park.
Right.
And that, at least if it's there, then the person at the booth can say, oh, I see you have a kayak, hopefully they will, kayak on top of your car. you can't launch it over here, you can do it on the other side, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I also know that the people that ran the booth were actually educated this year as to know that they cannot,
Yeah, they had no clue,
they have no place, so.
so,
That's a good thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
so it should work out.
So I think the current decals on the signs are larger. I think perhaps you might have to move to a smaller decal to fit.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
numbers.
yeah, whatever, we
So I
can.
might just buy all new ones and just kind of read that.
Yeah, perfect.
Right, actually, they might
It's
look
better
better,
than
they
they-
might look better too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you-
That's-
Well, and if it's sometime in the future, there is a kayak launching space agreed on and put in to the left or somewhere there,
Remove that.
you could
Right.
remove it, yeah. I mean, just,
So is
We don't-
there a form to fill out to get the funds out of the commission's bucket?
That would be, I
Is that Sheena?
think Amy might be able to do that, the conservation admin.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
So I don't think there's anything open space committee would do. To,
There's nothing we can do to do that. We just
All
need to
right,
do it.
they did the design and then you're gonna check
so they know.
with the people in the Conservation Commission,
Right.
and Amy
yeah,
on the funds and the purchase.
right.
All right,
Then I'm also working with Stephanie to make a new informational signs on coyotes. They're at the trailheads.
Yeah,
It's kind
the
of tattered.
kiosk, the one with the,
It's like I think this is 8.5 by 11
Okay.
laminated piece of paper. It's kind of tattered and looks worn down
Right,
currently.
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
You can't find that original document to re-laminate,
oh,
so we're just gonna make a new one.
all right.
So Stephanie and I are working together on that.
you know, remember the one, that, my favorite one was some police department somewhere out in the west, and they'd done a thing like the Wiley Coyote. It was a spoof, but it was really good and very funny.
Okay,
It was, don't call us unless you see the Acme bomb thing. I mean, it was a spoof on, Wiley Coyote.
Yeah.
All right, you Alex. So,
so I just wanna make sure I've got all the brown signs in mind.
So there's,
Sandy Meadows. Or Sandy
Tail has one.
Cottontail.
Contail has the one under the
Does Boat
kiosk.
Meadow have one?
Boat Meadow has, well, two, the
Nickerson.
one from Peach Orchard and the one from down by the Rotary.
Yeah.
and Nickerson has one, doesn't it?
Yep.
Herringbrook Road.
Nickerson has one on Herringbrook Road.
There isn't
And
one yet
Sandy Meadow
at
has
the,
one.
at the
Sandy
Herring
Meadow Cottontail.
Crossing.
Yeah.
That's-
We need to
where
get
else
some.
do we have? Where?
Where Herring, where everybody parks at the Herring, where the Herring. Road.
Wiley,
Right, Herring Crossing.
There's no
Like that.
sign there, the Herring
Wiley,
Crossing, like you said,
Nickerson,
they're across the street,
Cottontail.
kind of.
Sandy Meadow. Higgins has one, although we don't have these issues with Higgins, there's no water.
Mhm.
All right, if, we're talking about Wally Park, we have Tracy Plantier here. And I believe you're from the East Ham Dog Owners Association to speak. And, so you have the floor, please.
Okay, honestly, I just came because I saw it on the agenda, I saw the signage and I saw, I think there was at least one other thing I was interested in. But while I'm here and we're talking about Wiley, I know that conservation is still wanting to close the opening. And I know it's not your decision, it seems to be their decision. I'm still trying to find a way to convince them not to do that.
There's three.
Yes, there are.
Two in one in Nickerson.
Right, correct. So what I wanted to point out is I am very, very close to Wiley Park. So I've used it for over 20 years, very regularly, know it backwards and forwards. I'm usually the one who calls in problems there because no one has before me, which I'm always surprised at because I'm not here full time. And so I use it so much, and you honestly do not know a location unless you use it daily and use it a lot. You don't understand the uses of it, you don't have the feel of it. So I don't know how much people here, because honestly, I have a board of directors back home who manages a park that never go there. So I don't know how often you guys go to Wiley Park and use it, but I used it a lot this summer, very, very early in the morning. I have a brand new dog that needed a walk while it was quieter. And all of those openings were used very early in the morning. Now, they weren't used by dogs, they're used by fishermen. And the fishermen spread out because they don't want to be on top of each other. And I'm still banging my head what the need is to close one of these openings. When people need that space, the fishermen need it, the dog people need it. There are people with their families going there with their dog, so they've got little kids. And they're not necessarily wanting 5 dogs to be in that opening where there's little kids and their families. So I don't know how you guys can help get that message across to conservation, or if you have suggestions for me to get that message across to conservation. But this is how the park operates. And this is the joy of people coming to Eastham and enjoying natural. That's why people are on the Cape. And I've said this before in some of these open meetings. People are coming here because of the open spaces and the nature. If you're not a nature person, I don't see why you come to the Cape, quite frankly. So, you know, I just feel frustrated that they want to close down. The minute they close down one of those, then the others become more, you know, more volume of people, and you're going to create issues. You're going to create issues between dog owners and fishermen. Because honestly, when I go down and I want to take my dog to the water, if I see a fisherman, I don't go there because I don't want to bother him. So I'll move farther out. Well, if you start closing down the spaces, that's not an option anymore.
Right. I was just gonna say too, coming in the Herring Crossing way, a lot of people there, they're going fishing.
Yeah.
And so actually they're launching a boat, you know, into Bridge Pond for fishing. And we don't want to not allow them to do that. So
Right.
you know, that's where we might have sort of jumped to, you know, just can't do this. There are a lot of people who fish,
Yes.
and some of them use a boat to go out fishing.
Yes.
And they're not launching from they're into Bridge Pond. That's the only,
Where do they launch on Bridge Pond?
you know, when you go in,
There's a little,
there's a couple of little cuts that
I
fishermen,
want you on the trail going in.
yeah,
Oh,
on
yeah.
to the
To the
right.
right.
I've
They
seen.
go to the
sure.
pond.
Okay,
Those haven't been raised in conservation because
Yeah.
they're pretty small.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But that's, so I hear you, and
Yeah.
I think, you know,
I just
seeing,
think a lot of the pressure has been put on dog owners and dogs, but there
Well-
are all different folks using those areas
I-
and using those openings.
I think, you know, as a dog owner and as somebody
Yeah.
who's lived next to Wiley Park for 34 years and learned to swim there, my kids learned to swim there, and, you know, I've been going there since the 60s. The issue is not so much the dog owners per se, who have possibly been singled out. What happens, and I'm there a lot, both launching from the other side and going over. People have, in the past, because you didn't need a permit to park over by Herringbrook Run, a lot of people learned to come in that way. And they bring their beach chairs in, and they bring their beach toys in, and all that. I mean, we lost a lot of oversight when we lost the lifeguards. And, you know, as to what you could take into the pond and stuff. What's happened in the 2 areas in particular in Wiley Park is what I've seen over time, and I think from what I've learned from the Conservation Committee, and they've done studies, and keep in mind, they're in control of that. How many feet? 50, 100? 100 feet from the water back is all them.
Right.
And what's happened is there used to be plant life. There used to be mussels there. There used to be a lot, but there's not anymore. The roots are all torn up and stuff. And I'm not saying that the
Yeah.
dogs are doing that, because I have brought, you know, my dogs there to swim. And one in particular to steal balls from other dogs. That's her job. Bigger dogs. But there has to be some concerted effort to try to restore some of that area, because it is getting, if you go out there now, the sand is much farther up, and there used to be less of that. So you had more wildlife on both those sides. And people now have migrated to, you know, and it also depends on the height of the pond.
Yes, it
This
does,
past year-
drastically.
This past
drastically.
year, the pond was extremely high
Yep.
because of all the rain we had.
Yep.
We get another year like we had 2 years ago.
Right, where it was
was
beach
really
between
low.
two openings.
We got-
There was
yeah.
beach.
You know, it's a
Yeah.
bigger issue.
I have a question, because I think, again, none of us are
Yes. I know.
experts in any of this specific, what this guy from Marston's Mills,
Mashpee.
Mashpee, picks up the M's. He's doing a forestry thing,
Forestry.
and the other thing is, what we're not doing is a pond expert, like it would be really nice to have someone who
Yeah.
is an expert, because I think if you block off things, people are gonna get their other ways.
Yes.
And so you don't want to just move damage, repair this and then move damage. Why don't we look for someone who really could assess the whole pond, you know, perimeter,
Public-
Yeah.
and say, you know,
For
look, there's
access,
all of this stuff that was
conservation.
lost in these areas. It's balanced out by what's here in this area. We
Right.
can't do that.
Right.
And conservation, the committee can't. There's no experts on there. There's experts.
This expert would be somebody.
Who,
from the
yeah, who
state.
would
Yeah. Do you
be a
have any
pond
insight on that?
or-
The Cape Cod Commission,
Yeah, the
Cape Cod
Cape Cod
Commission.
Commission,
Or-
they're the ones who
they've
started the
got natural resource.
Well, an APCC
Yep.
thing.
might,
They might know somebody for sure.
right. Because
Even
I
maybe
think
even the Orleans, you know, they have that whole pond
Pond
coalition. Maybe They
coalition.
would have a reference.
it would, if we've got some money somewhere, I think that would be well spent to really look at the health of the pond. And I don't know, forget the water quality. I don't know if Hillary's, you know, that had a big alum treatment, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
More than 10 years ago. It's gonna be, that's gonna come.
Yeah.
Back to visit soon, but I think assessing the health and quality of the pond front with this in mind, use versus
Right.
closing it up, because just to say, we're not gonna, you know, we're gonna close this. People will fish, they will launch their boats, they
Yeah.
will,
And
and they'll
that's-
just be mad
Which-
and say,
Would this be a conversation then that would be useful to bring at dinner appointment with Hillary? She's the Director of Environment and Health.
Have you submitted comment to the commission regarding this?
I did, when they had their open hearings and meetings, I did, yes.
Mhm.
But I,
Was that last year?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably have to go back and look at that. It was pretty long, that I sent in, but a bunch of people sent stuff in. I never really heard anything formally back from
Okay.
those. But definitely when I was using it this summer, I remember calling Stephanie early in the morning one morning and saying, you know, if they would just come here and look at the people using this so early in the morning, you know, the fishermen come very, very early in the morning.
Yeah.
To use those
There's still
openings.
gonna be openings for access. It's just that one access point that the commission is,
Right, but
worried
that, but I
about.
guess what I'm saying is why do that when people, there are fishermen using that right now. So you're gonna close off this place that many, many people use, force everyone into the two openings.
Yes, that's what.
And it creates
I-
conflict.
I hear you.
It
Yeah.
creates conflict.
But that's the commission's, I think that's
Right,
their main
right.
concern right now is the overuse of that fragile area. There
Yeah.
has been, I mean, there is degradation from overuse, and at least in the short term, you know, this is their solution to try to allow that area to heal.
Well, and that's where getting a real expert, and nobody on the commission is one of those experts, but how an expert that looked at probably, what do you call it? Fixing, no, fixing, restoring one place, but how to balance, you know, so that it's just, yeah,
And
that's a
part of,
better thing.
Like this thing with the OSRP is that too. We need an expert person to, because that's, you know, the open space recreation plan.
Right,
So
it's,
it's to look at open space through a filter
Right.
of, you know, reclamation, all of the things to preserve what we have, to fix what's broken,
Right.
and to provide
Right.
for access for
Right.
recreation.
Right,
And the plan that is in place now is a little bit light on the
Right.
recreation side.
right,
And recreation, it being
right.
inclusive of
right.
all the things that you described.
Well,
Were excellent.
And I definitely understand that there is degradation in an area that people use, that's inevitable. But that's where you need the bigger picture to say, this might be, you know, a trade-off, or that we can restore this and move this and keep things, you know, moving and restoring. I mean, when we walk out over the marsh for sea turtle stranding, you know, and out at the Wellfleet Basin Wildlife Sanctuary is the same thing. We are walking across marsh for parts of this. And Bob Prescott, Bill Allen, all say, don't keep going on the same, move it. Walk this way and then walk back a different way. And being like, well, then you're disturbing a lot more, but you're not wearing a
Right.
yeah. So again, none of us is experts at that. So I do what Bob Prescott tells me. Bill Allen's not an expert either, but he knows more than I do. So it would be nice to have a real expert.
And I
help
also
us with
think
this.
people that aren't, like you said, using it as often as you are, you know, not everybody treats it the way that they
right.
should. Right. So there's that
Right.
part too. Like not everybody is as good of a citizen
Yeah.
Mhm.
there as you guys are with your dogs and everything else.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
that's
let's,
the icon part.
Maybe
maybe that can be our
what-
recommendation
what
that we
steps here, so
add,
for,
look for our expert evaluation.
you please, bring this up with maybe Hillary, because she is the
Mhm.
director,
And I think Karen, I think that
and of course, and Karen.
who's not here, who's on the committee,
Yeah, I
this
know, I
committee,
know.
but she's not
and
here.
Hillary. That it came up. There seemed to be a consensus that we let.
And I will
Look
tell you, we
into-
just had a board meeting and this was brought up. You know, so I feel pretty comfortable. I'm speaking for the board
Mhm.
of the EDOA, who is still very frustrated by the plans to close that opening down.
Mhm.
So maybe prior to any final that
Yeah.
this.
Well, it just seems like they
evaluation-
I mean, they absolutely made a decision. 'Cause
Yeah,
they are
no, that I
moving.
know, but
There's a
implementation.
Date in early
think
August,
Yes.
October, that's when the fencing is gonna
Yes,
go.
yes,
Mhm.
exactly. Their plans are moving
Mhm.
forward. It's
That
just,
plan has been set.
yes,
Okay, that
yeah,
plan
that's
is set.
my issue is the plan's been set, but they've gotten tons of feedback that people are not happy with that plan.
Right. But that's where maybe there's a balance, restore, but how to, you know,
Going forward beyond.
with the recreation really is a really important part as well. And, you know, you have to make some
So looking for
adjustments or balance.
an outside expert to help us deal with the health of the pond, which is paramount.
And
Ensure-
recreational
But
access.
understanding that there's going to be recreational
Right.
activity on the pond, fishing,
Voting.
I guess how to best balance.
and how to
recreation
balance.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
We know where the swimming is.
Right.
On the beach, we know where the kayak launching is, on the other side of the
Right.
pond.
And just so you know, too, you know, the town, we do the pond, the water testing, estuaries, and then the pond testing this year. Peter Wade and I did Bridge Pond. And we launched off the dock on the CR of Pat Thomas's property with permission to get into Bridge Pond. But that's when I thought, wait a minute, the town needs access to get a boat onto Bridge Pond. We're asking a private person and got permission, but they're fishermen. Then I noticed, yeah, there's a guy in a fishing boat. And so we're forgetting some of that until we're out there and we see it, or we have to actually access it too. Yeah, so I think this is a good plan, see what Hillary and,
Thank you.
Yeah, no,
So
you're
thank-
welcome. It's just, you know, it's frustrating as a
Mhm.
longtime user of the park is just, it feels sometimes that people don't really understand the use of it and they're making decisions about it.
Yeah,
no, I
our family home was on Bridge Pond Drive, so. right.
So, you know.
But,
So I'm just to recap. What I heard was that October 10th is a planned date to close off that pond. And this thing we're suggesting is more long-term.
Yeah, I
And
hear
that's not
that.
gonna happen before.
Yeah, no, I
Right.
understand. I
And-
understand.
and
And believe me,
expert.
it always feels like a losing battle in this whole conversation.
Is,
But
so after that, if you would report back, Alex, on you know, who are we gonna call? I mean,
I think it
State
aligns.
Park Commissioner,
Well,
APCC.
Francis, doesn't it align with, I mean, we're looking for experts as well to assist with the OSRP because we're not experts on, you know,
Well, that would-
it's not just data and erosion rates and things like that. It's what's the best use of yet the natural resource that we have available to us to allow for recreation and other things
Right.
without degradation of the quality of the land, right? So we're also in that meeting on the first, we're
Mhm.
also
Right.
looking to identify, so I'm just wondering, it may or may not be one and the same,
Mhm.
but I think it's on the same trajectory.
We can bring that up October
Yeah.
1st with Shayna. I mean,
Because that's what I'm
yeah,
missing.
three of us here.
Yeah, that'd be
on
great. Thank
Open
you.
space and
Appreciate it.
recreation plan, which you're familiar with.
Yes, very familiar.
Yeah, okay, so on that
Very
plan,
familiar.
as Michelle said, you know, you have to include the recreation.
Right.
And
piece of
just-
it Also.
Just to pull in another, the CPA, Community Preservation Act funds, you know, active recreation is one of it's not one of the required by state law. The required are you know, housing, open space and historic preservation. And Eastham intentionally added a fourth requirement, and that's active recreation. So it's CPA funds, there's, you know, there's money that could be in two categories, the open space and the active recreation funds to do something to hire. Well, I don't think
Can
you
you
can,
hire?
I think, can you do, we'll have to
You can contract.
do us,
But when
the
For
CPA
review.
funds pay for an
Yeah.
expert to do
You know,
a
To
study
use
on
those for
that.
that.
It's something to think about it.
I can find out. I
Yeah,
can find out for you.
yeah.
Right.
I
So-
because
have
it'll
the-
be-
the
and then we
CPA
can,
Coalition on speed dial.
maybe tomorrow, is it tomorrow morning,
Mhm.
when we have Shayna, ask her about her knowledge of other experts, you know, on the water,
Uh-huh.
dealing with the pond. Well, we have the data that you've been doing from the pond sampling,
Well,
but this
that
is a
goes,
different approach
right,
that we're looking for, the use of,
yeah.
the pond.
This is the water
recreation,
quality.
That's
Water,
Right,
not the
yeah.
water quality,
It's-
but
Yeah.
the use of the pond in a holistic sense.
Gonna
With
test
recreation
or
and of course the
look
health of the
into
pond.
what's
is
happening
super
with
important.
the animal life.
We can
that
ask her
live
if she
Yeah,
in that
has
pond
any
and around
thoughts
that.
on
Right.
that. We can do that tomorrow
Right.
morning.
That has nothing to
Yeah.
do with
And the
water.
degradation of.
Well, there's two ways so far.
Okay.
Thank you for.
No,
Fine.
thanks for listening. Thanks for letting me talk.
No,
Okay,
of course.
Tracy,
No,
thank you.
absolutely.
We're a friendly group.
Our open space committees too,
Absolutely.
compared to other.
Where do you
committees.
live? Where do you live?
Wilbraham, town of Wilbraham.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
Yeah, my sister-in-law used to live there. Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to? while you're here?
No, but I'll let you know too, just as an FYI, you know, we do, obviously, we use the park a lot and, you know, as I said, I've been there a long time. I know it, you know, really well. So I think we're gonna actually offer to help some people learn the park if they want to by, you know, hosting like a hike at the park. So I don't know if you guys care about that kind of stuff, but
That's great.
you know, that's something we're gonna probably offer dog owners to, you know, that don't know the park, a chance to
Mhm.
understand it. But, you know, because I do open space extensively in my hometown in Wilbraham, I'm very, very aware of how many people are intimidated by trail systems and do
Mhm.
not feel comfortable, no matter how well they're marked. They need hosting to get them out there and feel comfortable and get a feel of an area. So definitely, we're gonna offer some of those
Mhm.
chances to go out and learn the area.
Yeah, the only thing we've done before is when Bob Cook's around and does the amphibian walks
Right.
in April, the peeper
Yeah.
things, and going into the park at night, you know, the park service, everything's like dawn, you know, you're not supposed to be there between midnight and 6.
Right.
Well, Wiley Park,
And
I don't know if we
actually-
have dawn to
Actually,
dusk.
you guys do, like, actually,
there
that's
is.
another point for you to take
Yeah.
a look at maybe. I don't know if you guys are aware, but the hours of the park are actually quite short in the
Yeah.
summertime.
Yeah,
Which I sort of laughed at because I actually didn't know there
yeah.
was that sign way up front.
What is it? What are the
It was
hours?
like, I think it was like 7 to 8 or something.
I-
Which, in the summertime, it's early, it's
Yeah.
perfectly light out at like
Yeah.
5 a.m. And it's light well past 8. and
Right.
So people are at, they're at
Yeah.
the park, fishermen are at the park.
I
probably
don't
at
think
5.
anybody is policing.
But no one's.
Is that state?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
It's Wiley is what is considered what?
Town.
Conservation, it's town.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not a
town somehow, and my guess is like, when I first moved here, which was 2003. My neighbor said that they thought there were some problems in Wiley Park with people using it after hours. and not
partying or
whatever.
crashing.
So my guess is that was an attempt to stop that.
I think it's
um,
that they use it if there's a problem, they'll say you're not, but
Yeah.
like the seashore, 6 a.m. In the summer, the sun rises way earlier and everybody's up there and they don't ever,
Right, right.
enforce that.
And I think it's true of Wiley too. I don't
Yeah.
think anybody's, I've seen plenty of fishermen there very, very, very
Right.
early in the morning. Nobody's chasing them out. So
Right.
I don't think anyone's like paying attention to that
Yeah.
sign, but just as a FYI,
Yeah.
if you're working on signage, might be one to consider,
Hmm.
seasonal change it. Cause again, it's very constrained for summer hours, which is the highest volume of people using
Yeah.
the park.
Ross said dawn to dusk.
Yeah, that makes it
Right.
simple because,
Dawn to dusk. Except the
I've seen
peeper
that
walks
somewhere.
go after dusk.
Dusk,
They
yeah.
go their best.
yeah,
And there's, owl. I don't-
Right.
We don't do an owl,
Um,
walk, but anyway,
yeah,
it's way past my bedtime.
yes.
I think those
Okay.
could happen, notify conservation. When Bob did that, I'm gonna lead a walk.
Yeah.
And I think, it's gonna be proven. It's
Yeah.
it's not a cut dried situation.
Yeah.
I think perhaps the select board might have had to
Enforce it.
say in that
It's something
decision,
like
it wasn't
that.
just
Yeah,
conservation.
right.
There is a history to why those hours are.
Yeah,
what
and
they
it
are.
may be-
I don't quite know.
It may be also because if there's a problem, the police, that they need an enforcement thing.
Yes.
If there's a problem, they can
Yeah,
say you
right.
can't be here, but they're not gonna bother anyone who's not
Right, having a
doing
problem.
that, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Tracy, thank you very much for your input. And we'll work on the issues we discussed here. All right. Anything else on Wiley Park? Okay, Sandy Meadow, particularly the interpretive signs and the ADA trail extension. The ADA trail extension is quicker. Let's start there. Alex, I'll let him talk, but he has a name of a contractor.
Yeah, so a couple weeks back, perhaps this was a month and a half ago, did a for the Cold Brook Preserve that kind of Harwich and Harwich Conservation Trust. I think they kind of jointly own the property. They have a very nice ADA trail that goes around the perimeter, and I reached out to Connor, who is the land stewardship director for the Harwich Conservation Trust. He shared with me the contractor that they used to put an ADA trail. So I've since reached out to that contractor, expressed their interest in receiving a quote for our extension at
Mhm.
Sandy Meadows. So I felt like at this point, that was probably the best way to move forward with this project. So when I have more information on that, I'll
Do
certainly.
we have a budget already?
We have
do.
we're
We have money
80,000.
aside.
We have
80,000.
80,000.
Don't tell the contractor that, though.
Yeah, don't.
Although this is a public meeting, so.
So he heard it.
For Schoenauer.
Yeah, he's showing all our cards. But we had said that we would work with, see if DPW could get us on the schedule, and that hasn't materialized, so, starting the process of
Yeah.
reaching out to contractors and see how. we
Ours
can
is what, 950 feet, right? Or
Yeah.
or is that
Yeah.
yards?
take feet.
Feet. And Harwich, is it
It's.
It's
a lot
bigger.
longer?
Oh, it's.
Oh, okay.
It's bigger. It's
Yeah.
big.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, when Karen first did the application, what did we put in first? It was like 60,000. And I remember it, I'm on the CPA too, as you guys know. I think it was Dan Koppelman who said, well, if you have no idea, you might, what if it's way more and you don't want
Yeah.
to come back? So just, yeah. So
It'd be interesting to
it
get.
sounds like a lot, but
Now, if there were improvements that need to be made to the existing section, could that be something that we use those funds for as well? Or is that kind of?
It's an,
I
would
I
say-
don't know, CPA funds is the maintenance.
No, yeah, you can't,
You
it
can't
has
do
to
Would be
be,
maintenance, but let's say if he came in and said, well, this isn't really to
Rebuild it.
code anymore.
yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
some
Well,
of the, some of
let's
the
see what-
material
Yeah,
could,
I would have. him
Okay,
look
well,
at it
yeah.
both ways,
Okay.
Because,
Yeah.
because that's overgrown and stuff, and
Right.
if it needs to be, so other, you don't wanna like
Right.
have the path we have now, and then all of a sudden it gets really great when you get halfway down
Right,
there, you
and,
know?
and
point.
the ADA trail is, yeah, that just have them do,
It starts from
getting
the-
there.
Yeah, it
Yeah, it
starts.
starts from the parking area,
Front.
and,
Yeah. There'll probably be areas he doesn't have to do anything, maybe, but.
yeah,
It's an
It
out
should
and
be-
back, right? It's not a
yeah,
road.
out of
yeah,
right.
yeah.
I mean, that's not to say the existing ADA trail is in bad shape. per
It's just a
se.
matter of that it's gonna be a continuation, you might as well have it.
do we have? Do we have an existing ADA?
So I don't think it's not,
It's wide.
it's wide enough, perhaps the grade is,
Well, that's what I'm asking, does it qualify?
it's not.
Did it-
That's Rob's point, yeah.
So, okay, then let's,
I think the
we
whole
want it
thing-
to be certified.
Plus, when you have to retrofit something to an old piece,
It
it can
wasn't
be more
certified,
expensive.
how come we always call it the ADA trail? I mean, this precedes mine.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, have him look at it.
yeah,
He'll
yeah,
know.
he'll know if he does, it, yes.
Yeah.
Right,
So when do you expect, have you gotten a response
I
on,
just reached out today.
okay, so, right, so they wouldn't have a quote yet, but they'll probably come and look at it.
And,
Yeah.
we end up doing a site visit. I'll keep
Okay.
the Space committee.
Okay, great,
Yeah,
That date,
absolutely.
if y'all would like to attend, all the better.
great.
excellent.
And so the name of that company was,
It's SUMCO, new word echo, new word contracting.
or Reed Custom Soils.
Where is this one I got from you then too? This is the
Right.
Russian company?
Mhm.
So, sure where that
Okay.
came from.
It's just little. Sure.
All right, well, you've been working with Connor. It was-
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
this is something
yeah,
I,
Reed
yeah.
Custom Soils.
oh, there it is. Oh, so that maybe is
Perhaps that could have been an old one.
an old one. Okay.
Reed, READ Custom Soils.
Soils. Okay. This is the benefit of having an active conservation agent that reaching out to the other towns and knowing the key people who to contract.
And the other
Who to
land, the
contact.
land trust.
Yeah, it really does help move these
Yep.
things along.
Yes, it does.
So, okay, are we on to the signage? What's
Now-
going on with that?
Yeah,
Really,
okay,
we've
so
been talking about this.
this one did. Okay, so now the signage, and that's a more complicated one. Now, we had a communication, I know it goes way back, and a communication from Fossil, photos there, that they didn't have the capacity to upgrade the photos, that we needed the, they
Pixels.
did the pixel count, okay, so, oh, what's her name from Fossil? I'm blanking on her name. Anyway, she sent 3 companies. Kate, I asked Kate Logan to, vet them, and so she came up, but she thought iStock had the most photos for the ones we use, so. Rob and I got together, it was last week, we looked at the design, which we're all 100% in on. We like the designs of the bowl and the locals. And we were able to find the same animal or plant, not necessarily the same picture as are in the original design that Karen put together for us.
But they're good.
But they're good,
representation
yeah, and we
of
spend
what
time
we Needed.
looking at, oftentimes we had 3 or 4, sometimes 6, 7 choices. So we've started files on the signs, and Rob has created an account for us, and then Alex has access to their account, and we can give you access to.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. So then the next steps is what we're gonna talk about now.
Login, or,
Yeah,
It's a
I
shared
gave it,
login.
he looked at it briefly the
Okay.
other day.
Just gotta double check all the pixels on all the ones. we
Yeah,
did
right,
there.
that was one,
Otherwise, we had alternatives.
one thing we had to do was make sure that they were, a minimum of 240 DPI.
Right. Most
So-
of them were 360.
Yeah, the ones we looked at, but that needs to be done. The cost to download 36 photos, which we're very close to, is $325.
Oh.
Yeah.
And, so Alex, when he and I talked yesterday, and correct me, Alex, here, that you were going to reach out to Fossil, say we had these images.
Right.
Before we download them and pay, once we download them, we pay for them, okay? See if she can work with them, or any tips for us on, how to go about this
Right.
and how she's gonna work with it.
Was that a group call that we were gonna schedule?
We were gonna discuss that
Yeah,
here. Do we actually, can they replace the photos that we give them? Can they plug them in?
On that.
Well, we gotta make sure she agrees,
Right.
otherwise, I don't, the process would be.
If that was the only issue with the templates that we sent, was the pixels on the pictures. She should be able to manipulate them. They do design work, so they should be able to manipulate them as long as we give them adequate
Yeah,
pictures.
we're gonna double check, and then we're gonna ask them also, Karen had a few designs where the image was, pulled away from the background was, matted out. And it was kind of interesting the way she put them on the sign.
She photoshopped.
Do you have that? Do you have those files, Michelle? I'm just thinking. All right, when I go home, I'll send you those PDFs. They're
I'd like-
Very, very nice. to
I've
look
never
at.
I'd like to be on the conference call, so
Definitely.
you can count me in.
Definitely. So we have to talk with her so we get this right. And,
I'll come to you out.
all right, so you two will set up a meeting time on that. And then we also talked, Rob and I, that if we can get these two completely done, which is just the substituting at this point, go ahead, have Fossil make those up, and then hold off on the trailhead sign, because we still have work to do with the map.
Yeah, I didn't think
Yeah.
holding up the project, so we give them all three signs made sense. Let's get something in,
So we can get those.
since we've been working on
Are
this.
people okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Be signed up on the committee, just so.
Thanks, Rob.
All right. So, does that all sound good? Make sense? Anything we're missing on the next step? And then actually, since most of you know that I'm going on the trip, Joanna, you were involved in the initial sitting down and planning of the signs, remember, at the library,
Mhm.
and you've been kept in the loop too. If you need another person's opinion.
Another person's opinion who's technically completely
Yeah, but not
challenged and can't pull up
technically, just
anything.
visually,
But
maybe.
you're able to see what you like.
Yeah,
That's
Exactly.
all I care about.
right,
You've
not
got a
the
point of
technical
view.
piece.
That's a fox.
We're
Let's have an
hoping
expert.
that we can now work with Fossil.
Yeah.
and
And just, and get at least two of them
Yeah,
in the
So-
works.
Yes,
all right,
That sounds
let's
good.
hope we can
Just
say
one
that
other
the next
thing
meeting.
Go ahead.
on signage, we did mark the trails there also, Linda and I. And there's that one particular confusing spot that we need to address. And that's where I guess the town decided to put that split rail fence in. Put an arrow on the fence to try to tell you where you're supposed to exit Sandy Meadow. But all people did was walk to the arrow and then around the fence and then up the side. That's an area we know we don't want people walking straight up there, because that's eroding. In other words, you're making a shorter
Yes.
trail.
Cool.
You're not following out to the road where you were supposed to go.
Cutting through.
Because it's
Back
a
to the
narrower
entrance.
trail and people don't realize it's there. So I sent a sign that I found on Amazon that I think suits the purpose, which has the word trail and an arrow. And I think if we can get that installed, I'll even
mount it on something and install it myself so people can know. When you get to the bottom of the bowl and there's the place where the kids were going up with their motorcycles, you know, their dirt bikes or whatever. You're there and it's natural that you're gonna walk straight, but you can't just walk straight because there's one split rail fence that someone decided to put in and they put an arrow on it. But people just walk right around it and then go right up there because the worn out part of the trail is right in front of you. So of
Right.
course you're gonna walk that.
But it's visible, you can see it.
Yeah.
It goes, yeah.
We need people to know when they get to the bottom of the stairs, they get to the bottom of the bowl, you continue straight. And that's
So
where the path is.
and I'm not visualizing where the part you don't want them to go is, but what AMC does is you make it undesirable to go, not just a sign saying which way to go, but if it looks like a really nice thing, you put stuff,
Yeah, but
poison ivy, you put poison, you plant, but is there an option to do something to block off the one we don't?
Well, we're not having cleanup there this year, right? Are we
We're
doing
not
any
cutting
cutting?
up, I submitted an AmeriCorps proposal for, actually, I've got the date on the calendar,
For Sandy Meadow?
October.
for Sandy Meadow.
Yeah,
So they could take some of the stuff they cut and they could
Right,
throw
and-
it.
I was thinking perhaps we could lay some pitch pines down.
yeah.
But-
Well, that's what if you don't want to, I mean, some kids will want to climb over them, but most people don't want to climb it over
Yeah, I
something.
would just, if you can make it so it doesn't look as much
So
like.
that's
that.
Monday, December 2nd.
Oh, cool. I'm here.
Oh, I'm here,
So
unless there's
perhaps-
turtles blowing ashore.
So perhaps we can address this at that work day.
Okay.
Right, and that sign wasn't too expensive, Bob, so maybe.
Yeah.
we
No,
can get it anyway.
I'll just get
If we
that.
get it anyway, and then they probably have in the shed at DPW a post,
Yeah,
we
that's
could
all
do-
I need.
and then, we'll do the
Just because we
labor.
could put it right there where the trail continues, at least people will see that trail, this way,
Yeah.
not, walk around that fence. kind
Yeah.
of thing. It just would work.
yeah, I know, this
Yeah.
that's not there. I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
you know,
Okay,
so, but I think that's like an easy way of preserving that area. And I think if we can.
It does
throw
look
some
like,
Pitch pine and stuff there, yeah.
right,
people just.
you need to cover what looks
We're
like. a
trying to
plan.
fix the fence at the top where people were even cutting down that.
So we
way.
can we can put pitch pines at both ends.
Exactly,
Yeah, perfect.
love it.
okay.
All right. So that's where we are on Sandy Meadow, moving forward. Next thing is the volunteer monitoring app.
That's perfect.
We introduced it at Windmill weekend. We had actually 2 people volunteered that they would be interested in being a friend. I spoke to Alex briefly that you have to think about a process for introducing them to the parcels and some training on how to use the app and suggestions on how many times a month we would ask to get a walk. And then it's also good to say, everything looks good. Don't feel you have to
Right.
just only go if you think there's a problem.
And I am gonna be working with Angela to get that linked to my page.
Good.
So
So
I
she's
just,
aware of that.
yeah, as a suggestion, as we get people and Alex, I think you said you would set them up with the app. But I think it would be great for one of us to go out with them.
Of course.
To one of our parcels and do the walk like we do now. And then so that so you, I know you're sitting there going like, what the app are they talking about?
That's when I
Anyways,
stayed, because
so
I
we have-
saw this on the agenda and I
part
had
of our-
no idea
yeah,
what it
no,
was.
Part of our job is the stewardship of
Right.
these different areas. So what we developed after actually doing the walks with Ed, we had pieces of paper which changed multiple times with what we wrote down and how we saw things, whether it be, trees down,
Down.
garbage, or everything looked fine, or,
Right.
whatever. At that time, we were also counting where dogs were, where they weren't, and what have you. We came up with an app that actually Alex set it up, an app where we can go to every parcel. And on our phones, we can take pictures that we can download, we can make notes, the whole thing, to report the status of that particular trail.
Yeah.
And then it gets emailed
here.
Nice.
And then it can be dealt with if there's an
Yeah, that's
issue.
great.
So
great.
what we've been trying to set up, which we initiated at Windmill Weekend, we're friends of open space, Eastham Open Space.
Show the
And-
t-shirt. Show the
Well, I'm
t-shirt.
actually leaving these extras with Alex. Yeah, we
Okay.
have t-shirts. You didn't know, Alex. You can keep one.
Well,
But you're gonna get the rest of these for whoever joins, who decides to take this on. I know Bill had talked about it.
I mean, this would be honestly a great thing to advertise to the dog owners.
Well, okay, yeah,
because
this
they
was
walk
gonna be,
trails
this
every
was gonna
day.
be my next
Yeah,
suggestion when we get to it is I've been asked to speak to the Eastham Non-Taxpayers Association, which I was a member of for 25 years. In January at their annual meeting that they do via Zoom. And I was gonna introduce this program because one of the directors asked me if I would. And because they use the park and there's no reason why we can't get a few of them interested in it. I think
Right.
the more people we get interested, the more chances we have of developing good rapport and making sure that things are being taken care of. And it's a good outreach to these different, including the
Yeah.
Dog Owner Association,
Right.
to, make sure that we can't be walking,
Right.
the 7 of us can't be walking all the time.
it's not easy, especially as the weather has,
Right, right.
changed quite drastically.
Right, and
where
there's a lot of properties,
lot more
and there's a
storms.
lot of properties that people don't even know
Right,
about. I mean,
right.
I mean, my favorite pet peeve is when I did it at Windmill Weekend, I said, they were saying, oh, trails, yeah, we go to Wiley Park, right, Nickerson, and I'd say,
Right.
have you been to Sandy Meadow?
Right.
And
This,
Somebody
huh?
goes,
What?
what?
Yeah.
And they had no clue where it was. I
Yeah.
told them, I said, do you have a dog? And they said, yes. And I said, well,
You
I
can walk
said,
there.
I walk there before I would even think of going next door to my house to Wiley Park during the summer.
Right.
'cause there's too
It's-
many
it's
damn
very
people.
quiet, yeah. It's
And
really
well,
quiet.
and it's just, I've got 3 smaller dogs. Not ball
Ball
stealers.
The other
Oh,
3
everyone.
just loud. And it's just easier to handle. I
Right.
mean, and they enjoy themselves better.
Right.
And even when we do come across a dog or two, which are
Yeah.
usually bigger dogs than mine, usually, and my dogs like big dogs. It's, I think it's good to extend this.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, we
we
can definitely,
can
I
certainly,
mean, we put out like a sort of a newsletter.
I'm a member.
When we have.
Yeah, I get.
Information,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, it sends me stuff all.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
can put
Yeah.
the whole app and the request for volunteers.
Right.
We honestly did that when the APCC was looking for volunteers to do pond monitoring.
Mhm.
And, it actually ended up being one of our board members signed up and helped with the pond
Right.
monitoring.
Well, and the key
Yeah.
thing too is if you have a thing, people are filling out and sending it somewhere, if it goes into somewhere where it just sits in a drawer,
Right, right.
but it's not, it's going to the website. But Alex, you are the,
Contact.
how do you know if there's something in there? Or is there an act, like when somebody sends something in, who's gonna know it's been sent in?
So he has added that feature. It says has been some, I haven't done it.
Email.
Don't you get a
He
notification?
gets an email.
Yeah.
Have you gotten to any yet?
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
just checking. I'm just checking.
Now, just curious, so if everything's fine, they're also sending you one that says that everything's fine?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's nice to hear
Yeah.
that too.
yeah.
We need some good news.
Right, you do need good news.
But
And
Is
George,
that?
I'm just curious of the program, so let's say 5 people sign up for Wiley Park. You might get 5 report, right? Are they gonna be on some kind of
We
schedule?
should be so
Or
lucky.
just
Well,
when they feel
Well,
like doing
no,
it?
We'll set up, once we get
Yeah.
volunteers to do it, we'll set up an internal, scheduling of, who
Like-
people to do it. Yeah, just so we get it covered and other areas aren't getting too much covered and then nobody's
Right.
walking Higgins or
Right,
nobody's
right,
walking,
right.
Cottontail. Or
Right.
whatever.
This,
Mhm.
as I say, we're just launching this program and we've just.
Yeah,
got our
that's
first
great.
recruits. And we were gonna put it on the website too, that poster,
Right,
Nice.
and then it'll it'll be more,
Mm.
people in Eastham will be aware of it.
right.
And then our next step was to sit down and like, Rob said, create a management system so that people aren't feeling, don't want to be duplicating the same person
Right.
going the same
Right.
day.
Right,
Say,
right.
whatever.
Yeah,
And
So
this,
we have to come up with a system.
yeah.
Yes.
and this project was a CPA funded, except we didn't need it.
Oh.
Because it was all designed and done in-house, so we're
Nice.
giving back the, I think it was $6,000 we got from CPA if we had to hire.
Hire
An
someone to
outside
build
fund-
the app.
But
We did.
thank you, Alex and Angela, and all in-house is done,
And
so
Bob.
that's going back
All-
to the
yeah,
CPA
all-
open space.
On that, I
fund.
did get the letter off to them, thanking them that was suggested last meeting.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
CC Jackie, so that's been done.
Mhm.
The next step is Stacy Rady told me to wait, that she did create a withdrawal form. And either I or Karen will complete it. I'm
Right.
talking with Karen about who's
Right.
gonna do it. We'll complete it and get that done shortly, so that piece will be done.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay, next item, anything else? All right, website trail map updating. As we've already talked some of this already, we know the trails are marked. Higgins has not been marked. A discussion there is, where do you put the last marker? We know where it begins on the east side, coming in from Cross. Pond.
Yeah, and then you end up
Where it ends, it
is
just sort of ends. so
dumps you
have-
onto private property.
have to think about that last marker
Mm.
Perhaps it would be a good spot for a sign,
and
just notifying
Leaving.
people that they're leaving.
something needs to go there. So that's,
Well-
before we get arrows up there, think that thing through. And Rob, you talked about the directional.
And just to fill you in, Alex, I talked to Bill today.
You did. I
Um,
got an
and
email from Bill today too.
yeah, I know you did. I talked to him right after your email, I think.
Okay.
And he was just getting ready to go on to, the two East End Facebook pages, and kind of go off on a rant. I thought he was gonna try to join us, but he obviously didn't make it. It seems that, he understood the fact that we were trying to get them to cut back on the amount of painting.
Yeah.
Well, someone went out, although Francis thinks it's okay. Someone went out, instead of using white,
It's red.
they used red.
Yeah.
Which is in the email, I'm sure, from him. His main concern is, in which I tried to explain to him, that we're only concerned with the Higgins property. And
Correct.
he, of course, walks the full trail. Yeah, the
Yeah.
full thing around the quarry and the whole thing. And he says, well, it's all through there and stuff too, and that's, they're degrading the property and da. I said, well, I kind of understand what you're talking about. I said, we're trying to come to grips with the coach and the team as to, how we can work together so that they can still have a clearly marked trail. Not to speak on his behalf, I think he thinks the trail should be elsewhere for them to practice their cross-country
Sure.
running. I'm not quite sure there's a place to do that,
Yeah.
unless maybe somebody decides to mow down part of tea time and they can just run around tea time. That's just,
That's
my
not
own
cross
aside.
country. That's not cross country.
huh?
That's not a cross
I
country
know,
course.
I know.
Yeah.
So, well, we can put some obstacles out there. But.
There's a lot of woods there. I
Yeah,
think we
yeah.
can continue.
So we need to kind of come to grips with
Okay,
at least, all we are responsible for is Higgins.
right.
So we can't really control what happens elsewhere, so.
I walked that whole loop after that first notification that there was the marking. And it's town non-conservation land. So town-owned land, federal land. And I'm not quite sure if there's any ECF. I saw
ECF has some.
I saw the signs and I wasn't sure if it was
Yeah.
on that side or if I was walking on the trail. So there are a lot of
Different-
players here.
Yeah.
And it's a long trail and the Higgins portion is a very small part
Small
of
part
it.
of it.
So
Yeah.
therefore, but I understand that you have contacted the cross-country
Right,
coach.
so I sent the cross-country coach an email. I've since received a voicemail from her, so she received the email. She's at a
Me.
meet. So we haven't talked about it, but in her voicemail, she wants to make this work. I think we can.
Of course.
Just-
Certainly.
Just back up, what's the complaint?
Well, the complaint is he came over to the booth at the Windmill weekend.
Okay.
This is someone who lives around there,
Bill-
walks around
Yeah,
there,
Bill,
okay,
what's Bill's last name?
okay.
Munger.
Munger.
And he
So he came over and wanted to know what our take is on that. And he walks, this is what he found. And if you were to go walk it today, this is what you would find. On every other tree almost, there's a
Red.
plastic yellow ribbon tied to it on the branches. Okay, and wherever there might be a stray root, rock, bump, whatever, they painted it.
With red.
Well, now red and white. It was white originally.
Okay, so
And then
cross-country,
occasionally-
I thought part of the whole point of cross-country running is
To
you,
trip,
Deal with the elements.
but.
right,
well,
you
Not
don't
have-
get warned, you
Any-
just, I don't know. I didn't run cross-country, did anybody?
No.
I wrote-
Anyways,
I wrote for.
there's also arrows painted on the dirt.
Okay,
So when you're talking about, what
Okay.
is eco-friendly, what's
yeah,
not.
yeah,
the whole
okay,
thing.
so he,
Part of our solution was, at least the Higgins property,
yeah,
which we haven't done yet, because we need to deal with the end of the Higgins property, was to, well, what if we put up our markers and they can follow those rather than the yellow ribbons that they put up there? And they don't take them down when they're done with cross-country, they stay there, and then next year they put up new ones, and then,
Well, the coach said she does.
has she been taken out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Alright.
I think they do.
Okay,
And then will.
And actually, this has been the team has been using this trail well before the
Yeah.
Higgins Conservation. So we have to respect that too.
right,
And we talked about some of the ideas for your conversation with the coach. That after the season's over, take down all the
Yeah.
ribbons, and then the cones, there's some cones out there, they should be gone. And then they added brush to it, the path to show the kids where to go, that should be put back.
right,
And cross-country is only in the fall
right.
too, so we can get a balance here. I think,
I think so.
I think we can certainly
so.
do this.
I'm not sure if it's my say, but I don't have any issue with them marking the
Yeah.
routes, if they, do it. Perhaps they're over marking it currently, they limit that to the larger routes, the
Right,
larger
yes,
rocks, I
right,
think
right.
that's totally
Yeah,
fine,
right,
Right.
right. I'm sure we can, I'm sure we can talk this through.
so.
Because here again, we're talking about recreation.
Yep.
And a conservation.
And that was one of the whole applications, in getting the town to buy this was part of it was it's used by our
Right.
kids, our
And
cross-country
actually,
team.
we were hoping at that point
Yeah.
to interest some people at the high school, go and introduce the program to the high school
Right,
and
right.
have, get young people involved.
Yeah.
in the
Because
stewardship.
in the
Which is
student,
good.
in the
Yep.
stewardship, and kids are passionate
Yeah.
about that. So we wanna find a way
Right.
here,
Yeah.
so that,
Partnership.
yeah,
maybe
partnership,
looping him in too,
Right.
probably.
I think so. Yep. All right, thank you. Website and trail map updating. Where are we? All right, we were gonna add paragraphs, I sent you this, the
Yeah.
paragraphs that describe the trails. We were gonna add those, we felt we needed a description added to the trail maps on the website.
Yeah.
And then Rob sent me a good suggestion that to this document for each parcel, we add the length of the trail and the difficulty of the terrain. Flat, some
Moderate,
hills,
whatever.
It's
not too
flat.
much, and add that to these,
Flat.
that.
Mhm.
Kate and I had
Well,
come up with a
well,
draft, and thank you, Joanna,
Mhm.
for,
Yeah,
reviewing it and giving your suggestions. So this is still a draft document, so anybody that wants to,
good.
But
add to it,
short, yeah,
let
just,
I like it, Joanna.
let us know.
Yeah.
And,
Kate had brought up too at a meeting, and we kind of dropped this out of there, and maybe we want to ask her. She wanted it to, whether or not it was suitable for a stroller. Which, in Kate's case, she takes the kids out there and, not all of them are. Sandy Meadow certainly is okay for a stroller.
well,
if you can do stairs.
there are strollers and there are strollers, and I think,
Well, I
yeah.
understand that, but if somebody's gonna take the kid out in the paths.
Yeah.
Have a little bit of an understanding of that, but you
Mountain
couldn't
bike
say,
strollers.
you couldn't say take a stroller, through Nickerson and go all the way up, and out through that way, because You know, I don't know, I would ask
You
Kate,
could with those,
she wanted.
some of those new strollers,
Yeah.
the running strollers
Yeah.
are very, very.
Yeah, no, we
Yeah,
had
they
one in
probably should-
Colorado.
That's-
It was pretty amazing.
In the woods.
I don't,
Could that go on, could a stroller go
I
on the
would check with
legend?
her, I would check with Kate.
Yeah.
'Cause she
Yeah, but
was, she wanted
let's
that.
talk about
and
that.
Right.
She may change her mind.
Okay,
I
the
think,
mileage and the.
Again, I don't-
Against the fact we don't have
difficulty
bicycles
and
on there, so how can we have?
I don't think we want to add too much. I think, but this is where I'm not a stroller person, so I don't know, but,
Get a
Yeah.
backpack.
but
Yeah.
I think they could figure it out.
Yeah.
Kate's figured it out.
Put them in a
Well, I mean,
backpack.
Yeah, it's more of the matter of these brochures are.
I
gonna
had
be at
two the same
Welcome
age,
Center,
one in
they're
front and
gonna
one in
go
back.
out, They're gonna be available to people who rent. They're not, you know, when you're taking your family someplace and you're looking for a place to go and what you can do. This is not, that these maps and stuff aren't for people who are already familiar with.
I know, but
and
people
laws.
are coming on vacation though, they're like a trail is different, that's not paved is in a different category of, oh, the paved bike path, so I just think that's,
I mean, I just
it's
brought
gonna
up the,
be too
you
much.
know, this was a concern
But-
of Kate's.
Right.
Okay,
Well, we'll,
But
we'll
if it's
discuss
not-
that further.
Yeah.
This is still a draft, but we definitely want to add the mileage
Yeah.
and the difficulty. So would you be able to figure out the mileage for us on the maps? How do we get the mileage of these trails?
So we're gonna, go out with an iPad.
Yes, that's in the works, 'cause that form needs to be built out.
mhm.
That's something Paul's or Angela's gonna put
And
together.
there are no trails that are difficult in any of these parks. So again, I think that's, I don't think we need,
Park, you could say a flat 1.5.
well, as part of the description, I think that's
Yeah,
okay,
I
but
mean-
putting a rating on it, I think they're all easy.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, like
Could be
this,
subjective, I mean, I guess it depends
It
on
is
your,
very
your
subjective.
ability.
They have it there.
Yeah.
yeah, the Orleans one, which I carry
Okay.
around at
Good.
all times because I love it. It does say 1 mile round trip is made of rolling hills. It
Ah.
doesn't say difficulty,
So
I
one
wouldn't-
level.
sentence combining those.
Describe the terrain.
but like we do.
Describe the terrain.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
says, when, the Orleans Conservation Trust acquired the Woods Cove Conservation Area located just before Tonsett Road Town Landing. So I think the location is in some of these paragraphs and not in others, like where is it located? Existing trails less than 1 mile round trip and made up of rolling hills. Yeah, parcel consists of 11.6 acres of upland forest, wetland and salt marsh ecosystems.
I'm just pointing
Yeah.
out, these brochures were paid for with CPA funds.
Right, it's beautiful. I love this. I carry it around all the time.
And
'Cause I'm
it's-
like,
it's-
I want these for Eastham,
Well,
but it does
Yeah.
have the length of the trail.
yeah,
And it has how many acres it is. And it just says it
Mhm.
winds through pine and oak woodlands with access to both Ice
Yeah.
House and Rubens Ponds.
yeah. Harwich, I'm pretty sure has a similar, it's really nice.
And then there's a little
Barnstable,
legend, but there's
Yeah.
nothing about, there's picnic table, road, trail,
yeah,
bench,
Park.
parking, open water and wetland.
Right.
And it doesn't have like strollers or anything like that.
right, because
But it's sort of like those wheelchair things that they have at the beach, which is probably ADA requirement, I mean, you can get a stroller like that. But
Yeah,
then
no,
they have a
that's-
photo. I love the photo.
well, look at, that's huge too. We don't have
This,
quite so many.
I do love this thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think the paragraph, Joanna, did you write them? They're
Okay.
Yeah, I thought they were great.
they're excellent. I think we can add some
Yeah.
of this.
The link to it.
Yeah, the
Yep.
link. So how do we find the link, Alex?
Yeah, that's what we just
Yeah.
discussing.
I'll take my,
Well, if you go like the dog, you could be unlimited. The way I,
Right.
up and back.
I mean, can you
No, but it-
pick it? Can you do an all trails? Does all trails?
Could walk it with their phone.
Yeah, I can walk it with an all trails and it'll say how many miles it is.
Just
I
be
do.
careful not to overlap. You'll have
Yeah,
to-
Don't worry.
just don't like stop and go to the restroom.
I think
Um,
when you do it, you should go out with somebody, if somebody like, wait, I'm
I-
thinking of the Wiley. There's a couple of different ways you can define that. The outer lobe is longer than doing it the smaller loop.
Yeah.
We could round it to the nearest, I don't know.
You know,
Yeah.
so there's.
No one's gonna double check it. If it's taking
If
us
it's
this much
approximate.
time to figure out how to do it ourselves, nobody else is gonna
Okay.
check us on.
I think it's important because it can
Sorry.
give people, I
you know.
guess, more of an understanding.
they
as
do,
to
Don't come back.
what they're getting themselves into.
You know,
What they're getting
been up to
themselves
Fort Hill
into.
recently.
If you see
the new
something
signs
that's a
that have
mile or less, you'll
0.1 to
know
Skip
that that's
Hill,
gonna be less
0.3,
than half
like-
an hour for
Yeah,
walk.
I know.
But
Yeah.
it,
The whole
This
thing
has-
is
That's what
so
people
much
wanna
like-
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so this has like Twiny's Pond says. Walking the 1.5 mile trail network, because it's all squiggly,
Yeah.
kind of like
We
Summer
have a network,
Wiley.
yeah.
Or Meadow Bog says it's a 1 mile round trip. So that means out and back.
Well, we could do that for Sandy Meadow, there's a
Right.
loop.
That you could call that a loop, so that's what they do here, but
Right.
if you could say, you know, trail network, Wiley has a trail network. As long as you're touching
Yeah.
each section once.
That's good. If we use that as a model to help us with the different parcels, I think we're good.
Alex, are we able to do that with our phones? Because if we're not able to do it with our phones, can we just?
Joanna
get
can
that-
do that.
Can we just get that walking stick thing that says how many feet
No, I
and then
still-
translate it to miles?
I don't
You know what I'm talking about?
Well, when I go,
W's go.
when I go hiking with the hiking group, the leader has the all trails and they start from where we start, and when we come back, he said we went 6.4 miles.
I mean, like, I know with my watch, I could start.
You could do it with
walk.
steps, yeah.
Yeah.
Doing a walk, I can do it on my phone.
GPS,
So
you know,
you just do
it'll
that,
track it.
I
yeah,
don't know.
Oh, that's right, I can do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
got the heartbeat.
Right.
Your heart-
If
Let's
I
do
were
that.
to watch, would it have the
It's
same?
saying how many
information?
steps-
I'm happy to help.
Legs are so
Would
much
you
shorter.
like- who would like to work with Michelle on this, getting the length, Linda?
I
and
can
then-
work on the
then you
language
can write
if
the
somebody wants to
sentence.
do the walking.
And,
I mean, and also,
I'll do the
like,
walking with you, Lynn. Look.
okay,
You just go to your heart, your steps.
Right, so you guys
Steps
send me
are-
and I'll
I'll
add, I'll read this and use this as a.
Right, 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 and then we
Cocktail,
gotta
we can
share it
measure
with
it at the same
everybody,
time.
we need to share with Kate. Kate
No.
is
Right,
So when are
But
we
you
gonna
gotta
do that next
walk
time?
it
Great.
first,
I'll talk to Kate.
Okay, good.
So
do
put
the
that
steps,
on
and
the
then do
minutes.
the cutting.
Did you get that, Linda, on the minutes, that I'll take responsibility for working with Kate on the wording, to use this as a model? If you guys do the
You
walking and
Is it you three that are gonna go out? walking?
send in the mileage.
No, I'm only gonna go to cocktail where we're cooking.
She only walks in
Okay.
Cottontail.
All right,
That's a loop.
so, Rob and
But I
Linda, you're
can't
gonna start
do
the
any
process.
measuring.
No,
of
neither
picking
can I.
out the lane. Thank you. So did you get
You
that,
and I.
Linda?
Don't make me do that part.
And.
You
can
and I
type
are
the
gonna be
numbers.
responsible
Let
for
us know when
walking
you're
all
going.
the
Okay.
trails.
Thank
Wanna
you,
get out
Rob.
of the office.
Yeah,
We'll do it.
All
see
right.
how this,
Appreciate it.
all right,
I'll
That's like-
also add that I shared a draft map of Sandy Meadows Hall. And I'm still working with him to get a map for you all to see. I think with the strategic plan, he's looked up
Sure.
the past month, but I know I'd said at the last meeting that I'd have a draft map for Sandy Meadows. That's still in the works.
but that's the trailhead
The
sign,
trailhead sign.
Correct.
okay,
So
okay.
to Joanna's point, can we apply for funds, CPA funds for this?
When we.
To make one of these?
In the
mean,
future, we could.
it says
once
with
we get
funding
some
from-
more- Yeah, we need more information, but we can certainly do it because it was
Yeah.
CPA
So with
approved.
those ones, we would have to provide, is it map? What's the name of the company? It should be on there. MapWorks.
Map and brochure design, MapWorks 25th, MapWorks.
Yeah, so we
They would have to
provide
do the
them-
prototype.
So that we would provide them with the GPS data, then they generate the maps for us. Sure.
Okay, but the funding is what I'm talking about.
Funding,
So, because this says with funding from the Community Preservation Act Fund.
correct,
You
so
can
the
do-
town of Orleans applied for funds.
Right, so
for-
when we're applying for CPA funds, I'm wondering,
I think we
If
have
we-
to do a little bit more development of.
Yeah, it can't be for this year.
What we
Yeah,
can make it for this
okay,
year.
but in
We
the
can't-
future, we
we
can
can't
aspire
get
to
it.
that.
Could be
Yeah, and
certainly-
it should be a joint application, like the Eastham Conservation Foundation.
Right.
Join in,
This is Orleans Conservation Trust
right,
and the town.
That's a
right.
great idea.
So it's.
So
Have it
can
a
we
joint-
put this on our
We
future?
we have,
list?
ECF's
I'm all
property
over
has
this. I
one
love this.
trail.
But that's good to
I
have.
love
off the
the
bike
committee,
trail.
so I can get-
All right. Anything else on that?
Nope.
That was a good discussion.
Okay.
Thanks, Joanna.
Next thing is the,
We already talked about that.
I said, okay, the Windmill Weekend Review.
We already.
Okay, just thank you, everybody that showed up, really successful. For the, a lot of good PR. Thanks for the turtle hatchlings.
They were
good.
great.
They were great.
I love talking to
And
Bill.
your kid activities were great. And if you want more fun, the rec department is hosting a Halloween event on the green, October 26th from 3 to 5. Anyone interested, to provide activities and treats for the kids? You could show.
You're looking at me.
Show up in a, you could show up in a costume and the fun continues.
Oh,
All right,
no.
that's it, okay.
I still have markers left.
Yeah, there you go. All right, on the CPA application that we are working on for FY26. So we started that a bit. We have one quote from Timber Homes. And it would be 8,000 for 2 kiosks. Remember that, 8,850 with shipping. The shipping is expensive because it comes from Vermont. It would be $1,200 for an individual shipment. I was talking to the owner and he does a lot of business in Massachusetts. So he's saying one way to think about this, and I talked to Alex about this, is that you could put the delivery with another town. For instance, this fall, he had a shipment going to Fall River, no, New Bedford. And then
pick it up.
and then and the town of Orleans is talking to this company about other, other kiosks they might like to, order. So, and as Alex said, I mean, it's so far in advance because this is the FY20, was it 26? Yeah. So
These funds wouldn't be available
They-
to us.
they're not until after
town meeting,
after
right?
town meeting, after July. It's actually.
Well, no,
it's
no,
July.
right after town meeting,
It's
Tina
already-
has said,
It's
yes,
not
you,
July 2026.
no, she can cut a check right after
Okay.
town meeting vote.
So it looks like the total bid would be about 10,000. I went to the informational meeting with the CPA and they reminded me that they want three bids. And I have the name of 3 others, 2 are local. And one was out of state. We're gonna get those, organized and sent out. And Rob, remember when we were talking about this, you were going to think about in-kind donations. Perhaps
Ace
looking
Hardware.
at the, what we were gonna do, look for labor among our own group and, outreaching, because we know DPW is very, very, very busy. And there may be some donated gravel or the.
We're talking about the gravel and the
And the-
auger.
the
big
auger from
tools.
So
From
I
Ace.
have installed.
Not the
these
kiosks themselves.
Yeah,
Before,
yeah,
and you need an auger,
Yeah.
sonotube.
right. The sonotube is nothing. I did look that up from Home
is
Depot.
that?
There were 20 apiece.
Sonotubes.
Yeah, so there would be 4. So there's $80
If you
there.
go to Brewster Sand and Gravel to Bluestone, it's pretty cheap.
Yeah,
Right.
and I would approach them
We went
personally.
that, and then the
and,
auger, okay.
That's
I
what-
happen to be like, or I should say my wife is a very good client of theirs.
Yeah. So,
They have my cell number and I have their cell number. I would just get them to try to donate it.
so they were
So that
very,
we could do a thank you, and then I was gonna approach Eastham, Ace Hardware and the rental and get Darren or his brother to donate the auger for a day.
We used a 2-man auger.
Okay.
That's a larger bit to it.
The other thing is that in my dealings with selling houses and having to get things straightened out, so I've made inroads with different people who do excavation and stuff and gotten them contracts. So I don't have a problem with talking to a couple of those people, including landscapers who might be able to do it. They've done work either for me or for my clients. I find that it's good PR for them we certainly would publicize the fact that they donated a half a day. I mean, you know, it's like 8 names that come to mind that I'll reach out to them. The worst they can say to me is no,
Right,
you know, and that doesn't hurt my feelings.
and that piece of, my presentation went over really well. They liked that idea of including
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna work on a draft of, the project description, and then we'll get these two more bids sent out.
So,
And I'm gonna work with you, Alex, on that. Michelle has, offered to work with me on completing this application because the due date is October 30th. So I'll get done what I can in the next 6 days and get the draft ready, and then, leave it in the competent hands of Michelle
To work with Alex.
and Alex
Yeah.
and Rob.
Francis,
to
can I-
work that, and then we can, the October 30th is a deadline. We can do it the 29th. And I think we can get this done.
mhm. I just, question, there's, ECF has had a volunteer, neighbor of one of our directors has been building, the signs, if you've seen the ECF signs.
Yeah.
Various places, the posts and he's an excellent carpenter, and I'm wondering, if you
can
could,
give me the name and I can, we're creating a spec sheet, Alex and I.
because,
random.
yeah, he probably would want to see
Yes,
what,
to
what,
see,
what
so
this
that they
company
can
in
bid.
Vermont is.
Yeah.
So I'll,
Could you send me that?
yeah,
Thank you. Could you send it to me in the next couple of
I
days?
will.
Write a note.
Yes, we do have a spec sheet put together.
Yeah, and we
so
need
that
a
we can get-
descriptive paragraph about what it is we're looking for. And then we'll get it out to, maybe 3 more, so that we'll be covered to have the
Okay.
3 bids.
So you'll try to get the bids out before you go?
Yeah.
Okay,
And then just,
Why
when,
can I use, I need to use your
My-
name.
yeah,
Also
absolutely.
as an email.
just copy
response.
me on everything you do
Good.
from now on,
Thank
so
you.
I know what's
Good.
going on.
We will. And
Cause I'm like, whoops.
I'll touch base with you before I go.
Perfect. We'll sit
Everything.
down and
Yeah.
go through everything.
We'll do
okay.
that.
We're hitting.
I'm on a big trip.
She's gonna see the
Going
world.
away.
I'm going to Peru. I'm going to Machu Picchu.
Nice.
I'm going to Ecuador, and I'm going to the Galapagos.
Oh, it's a big trip.
So it's a big trip. So that's why we're getting all organized.
Okay.
That's why we have a big agenda.
That's why I'm giving away.
And so
when you
when's-
notice, I'm giving away a lot of tasks.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And,
So
okay.
when are we gonna not meet in October then?
Well, that's coming up at the end. We're gonna, do
Oh.
that, but we have one more important thing to do, and it came on old and new business because I hadn't got it in. Linda is coordinating
Right,
for, invasive removal of ivy at Cottontail. And, to keep track of it and to organize it, this open space workday agenda came up, that this would have to be filed with, Alex here. Are there any questions, or do you have any input that, because this is a draft still?
Yeah, I mean, we could certainly tweak it as
We
we
could
go.
tweak
I
it
just
as we
kept
go.
it super
We could
simple.
try it.
is this so that we don't have to?
It's a
post meeting?
liability.
Is that because if we're all getting together to work, open meeting law, it's a meeting of the committee. No, we're not voting on
It's a
anything
work,
It's a
Or be-
liability thing, isn't it?
because
It-
it's constant.
we signed the liability
This is
already.
more so,
Okay.
just the conservation department keeping track of
Of
the projects
who-
that
Okay,
That it
open
happened.
space
Okay.
is doing.
Right.
so
This is for.
What do we,
we're
how do
gonna
we
go,
dispose of what we're cutting out?
You just leave it there.
We're just like, you're gonna leave it right
That's
down there?
in the
Okay, good.
conservation area, you're supposed to
Alright.
just leave it. So do we just need to fill that out and get it
Well,
approved?
Linda would.
Okay,
I think the
Thank you.
project leader,
okay,
one sheet of paper, not from
Right.
anybody.
okay. So Linda, when do you want to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's, you're gone. Who's,
I'm up for, my dates are,
I need to spray my tick pants
Tight.
again. I mean, tick spray my pants again, but I can do that.
I can do it this week or like after the 13th, because I've got a trip as well.
Yeah, I'm gone in mid-October. So what about this weekend?
Yep, I'm open.
Oh,
I'm away too.
I can do it tomorrow. I'm taking, start tomorrow.
Mm,
Can we go separately? I mean, or,
Well, you kind of need to.
Well,
know where you're gonna
yeah,
start,
sort
where
of-
you're gonna
that's true.
finish.
or Sunday,
Because
you
I
you
could
can't,
be a couple
What about
hours
later in
tomorrow.
Tomorrow's tight because you have to
Fill that
define
out.
where
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
to go
yeah.
and so
Yeah.
tomorrow's
later
tight.
in October is great.
After the middle of October.
Yeah, can we do like in the 20s?
Yeah.
I'm free anytime in the 20s.
Yeah.
Would it pick a 20? Is the weekend better for everybody? I'm okay with, how about, let's do
I'm good all that week.
like in the 20s, so let's
Right.
pick like 24.
So we have to pick, multiple dates because they're.
Yeah, it's gonna take multiple trails.
We're gonna,
Okay,
not
Yeah.
gonna do it all in one day.
So
Well, for this, are you using just the ivy in that one section that we looked at, Francis?
There's coming down the hill,
Yeah,
you and I talked about, it was
Yeah.
on the left.
right.
I can go with you tomorrow, or soon and show you the area that Alex agreed on. It wasn't.
okay, so let's
We
do
didn't
an
talk about the-
informal, not official, but if, because I can go tomorrow, I think,
Well,
to look.
I can show Linda,
So this isn't,
Linda in the afternoon
So
though.
it's a 1 or 2 day thing if we're just doing this
23,
one particular
24.
section.
Yeah, stop with that maybe.
23, 24.
Well, wait a second. Now, well, since we're talking dates, the
okay,
next meeting date, the third
Would be the
would
20.
be the 16th is the third Wednesday,
Right.
which is our usual. And then the 23rd is following. And the question is, who is going to chair that meeting? So Joanna, you said you're going to go
I'm-
away?
I'm gone the 16th and I'm tied up on the 23rd. So what I would actually propose is the 30th, because the November meeting is the 20th. So that would still give us 3 weeks until the November one, for Thanksgiving, because the November starts on a
You're
Friday.
right.
So if we can, when are you back, Francis?
I can actually be back. I can do that meeting.
The 30th.
The 30th of October.
So let's do that.
Okay, just let me
Go.
think. There
Think about
there was an appointment I had.
Either one, it
No,
doesn't
I
matter.
cannot
I can-
do the-
I
doesn't
can-
matter if
I
you-
have a medical
Joanna, you
appointment
would-
that
If
day.
you can't do it,
Joanna can,
Joanna can do it.
yeah,
Right,
actually, I have
so-
a medical appointment that day,
Yeah.
so
So
no,
let's,
but November 30th is the
This-
next meeting, I will.
October
2:30.
30th,
October.
October
2:30.
2:30?
Yeah.
October 30th at
2:30.
2:30. I will have town clerk put that on the calendar.
Yeah, if
Tomorrow.
you can, yeah, that would be great, because
Now,
I'm clueless
Then
as to posting.
somebody has to file the agenda and post the meeting. I can give you a template
Okay,
and send
and
it to
who
you.
do you send it to?
You send that to Linda Sassy and Kendra Bernard. And that has to be done 48 hours before. So I always do it like on the Friday, the 25th. I
Yeah.
think you can legally do it the 28th if you get it in early.
I
in the
can do it
morning.
the 25th.
Okay. on
for the 30th.
25th. On the 25th, then you will post it for it to be a legal meeting.
Yeah,
But
And I will send you.
That's
a-
Linda and Kendra.
Can you open up my, I don't have an Apple. Can you open up my attachments if I do in
Yeah.
a doc?
Yeah.
Okay. There's the posting up above, the Zoom information and then the agenda
Right.
follows. And I'll give a general agenda like we've been doing and, if you have to tweak it, you tweak it.
we know we're following up on.
Right, we know what we're doing. Okay, well, that works out.
and then I
Okay.
typically meet with Francis the week before. Either that Thursday or Friday,
To see where we are.
yeah, just to kind of review the agenda.
So can you do it Friday, the 25th? What time?
Wide open. Wide early morning.
I have a class 9:15 to 9:45, but other than that, I can do it after that. 11? Okay. And then I can just go next door and say to Linda and Kendra, here,
Yeah,
agenda and,
perfect.
okay.
So to circle back, we're gonna do the 23rd to do the Ivy,
Okay,
the
now we
Cottontail.
okay,
That's,
That's what we're saying.
Or 24th.
And if we don't finish, we could probably.
Yeah.
Go back on the 24th. I'm good with both those days.
Okay,
Yep.
October 23rd, between 10 and 2, I'm free.
Okay.
Good. So like 12 to 2.
I will be at the vaccine clinic.
I will be getting a vaccine with my dad. That's why I can't run a meeting that day. I made the flu appointment at the Elks Club.
Yeah, so I'd be, I mean, if I were, I don't have to attend a work day, but I'd be available that morning.
So what, so
So the 23rd isn't the best habit. What's?
Let's do the
24th?
24th.
To the 24th.
How about the 24th? 12 to 2?
Yeah, let's do that. And I think we'll be surprised.
We can, a whole bunch of us can get a lot done. Does 12 to 2 work?
But are
Okay,
you gonna go tomorrow?
Yeah. Linda, you and I will talk. And then I'll just show you make sure you are aware of the site that Alex and I have. Alex has approved, not that I approved. He approved it. Exactly.
so if you go and you like it, she can fill the form out for October 24th.
Right, yeah. And all you need
Perfect.
is clippers. You're only going with clippers, your tools, hazards, would just be long
It's
pants.
not the same without
Good
you,
kick, good
Francis.
kick.
With your outfit and your.
Oh, I know,
Francis
I
gets-
show up with the outfit.
She would climb a tree. Francis is like, get out of the way, I'll take care of this. Yeah, I know. And then afterwards, Francis says, come over here. And she's like, here's poison ivy wipes. Like what kind of a fool would show up in shorts?
oh,
Me.
so,
All right,
Okay,
Look,
there's
we're all
Not
imperfect
quite.
in some way.
I love
Not
you,
here.
I love the energy.
I'm not either.
But I won't.
Any-
tempt the gods.
Okay. We talked about a lot of things.
Good
Thanks,
job,
everybody.
Francis.
You guys
We'll
are
miss
great.
you. We're gonna
Um,
miss you.
I'll take a picture of myself with the llamas
Yes,
Oh,
please.
jeez.
doing
A hula dance.
Yeah.
And the tortoises.
and the tortoises and the lizards. Is there anything else important that we missed?
Over a lot.
Good
Right,
job.
guys. So, leaving it in your hands. Take care. Okay, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, Francis, yes.
Michelle, yes.
Rob, yes.
Linda, yes.
Joanna, yes.
Okay, meeting adjourned at 4:15, Linda.